Hi, everyone.
Buenos tardes.
With that, like, gringo accent.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's an, fun, having a little fun with tonight's show, I guess. Gringo accent. My daughter
Buenos
would kill me
tardes.
because I make fun of her gringo accent all the time because she's actually Spanish. Because my wife's
Oh,
Spanish.
no way, really?
Yeah, so
That's
like when
funny.
she speaks in Spanish, I'm just like this gringo accent.
That's funny.
I won't let her in the
Yeah.
car until she says it. Like she says, "Abra la puerta," like to open the car door. But I'm like, you got to say it
Uh-huh.
with the accent, or else you're not getting in the car. Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay. Yeah.
So
So,
yeah. So you're running shotgun. You're running shotgun tonight. Or not shotgun. You're driving the car tonight.
oh no, I am?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're at the wheel.
Got it. So finally, we have a structure for the show, and we're going to start off with like this week's hot topic.
Mm.
And well, this week's only one hot topic because in an hour, I think we'll drain it real quick with, especially with something juicy like this, right? So, yeah, Mo and I have agreed to talk about the Martha Vineyard trip for
Oh
the
man.
Venezuelan migrants.
As soon as we said it, everybody's like, about time. Someone's gonna talk about it.
I know. Well, I mean, like, a lot has happened since then, right? I think like it happened like a week ago already.
What the actual trip or no? It was like
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know.
the actual trip.
I'm
I
still
think it
running
was like
on you updated
September
time.
September 20th or something like that. Like it was a while back, but
So yeah.
at that time we didn't know what was what. We didn't know what was going on, and so now it's time to, now it's time for us to lay out the facts for you and let you know what's going on. Right? But of course,
Yeah.
like our show always promises information about politicians and candidates, like real, true, honest information that we can find, right? So basically, it's no different from where you can find it, but it's like a convenient place for you to find it here. So that's what we're gonna do.
Excellent. Even though I do have some challenges trying to find it, and that's my beef with it. It's too complicated. Like Layden's a search pro, but I'm over here like, what's going on here? You got government make things easier for us to find as
I
constituents,
know,
so we know how to
right?
vote for it. So we know how to vote for you.
No, seriously, because like I think the Florida House website is probably the easiest for me to navigate.
Yeah.
So it was easier for me to look at. But of course, like you'd have to remember the names of your representatives and your senators, so you know what's going on, like who is actually voting for what. Because on the floor when they vote, it's just yay or nay, but they don't
Right.
actually say like, oh, is this a Democrat or a Republican voting with who? You know what I mean? So
Right.
um,
You mean there's
you
no
just have to know your.
YouTube guide on how to follow the people who vote on your laws? Definitely
Yeah, you
not.
just have to know. You just have to know your representatives, and usually they all go in alphabetical order. So, but I would know some of the names of the people in this area, right? So in
Right.
Miami-Dade and some Broward people.
So let's
So
lay
yeah.
so let's lay this out on Martha's Vineyard happened. What
Mhm.
happened in Martha's Vineyard? Because Martha's Vineyard is not a place you hear about in the news. I hear about Martha's Vineyard when I watch a movie and it's like, you get a sailboat in the backdrop or some kind of like rich family wedding taking place. Martha's Vineyard sounds like a place you go to have a good time. So
I guess that was the governor's intention, was to, the migrants who are suffering through the jungles and being
right.
abused and raped and oppressed, and like let's
Yeah.
give them a treat.
Martha's Vineyard.
They've
It's a
been
good
through
starting
enough.
point. It's a great starting point. So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, what happened was they plane lands before Ron DeSantis takes any credit for it. Plane lands in Martha's Vineyard with migrants, Venezuelan migrants on the plane, and Martha's Vineyard just happens to be a sanctuary city or state or sanctuary, whatever they call it. So now they're supposed to do what they claim they do, which is take care of migrants. Instead, it makes
No,
national
so
news.
here's the thing. There's news out there that has been
Mhm.
said that like, oh no, he's classifying like Martha's Vineyard wrong. Martha's Vineyard is not a sanctuary city, right? Like, oh, okay. So, now that the planes landed, then you say, oh no, it's not a sanctuary city. But of course, like most of the advocates there that are living there or that have property there have all
Mhm.
at one point fought for this whole sanctuary thing and compassion for immigrants and whatnot,
Right.
right? But of course, when they land there, it's like, oh, wait, no, we're no longer sanctuary.
But
I
like,
think there's
no,
an
no.
article. There's an article in there saying that the governor misrepresented Martha's Vineyard
Wow.
as a sanctuary. Yeah, it's
That
it's
sounds like it
pretty.
sounds like those people are like, hey, listen, whenever you're in town, give me a call. We'll hang out. And then you actually show up.
Ah, and they're
Like,
like,
oh
oh
no,
no, I
I'm busy.
can't.
I'm busy, tied up, can't make it. That's
Oh
what that
God, I'm
sounds like.
slammed at work.
Yeah, like next time, next trip, or oh my bad, you misunderstood. Like I said next time I'm in your
Yeah.
town, we'll hang out. That's what that
Oh.
backtrack sounds like. I mean, so what classifies a sanctuary city? Like obviously, if you're going to title yourself as such, there has to be some legislation on that. Like what you're voted on as a sanctuary city. How do I find out where are sanctuary cities in America? I'm asking you this because you're the more of the researcher. You have
Well,
knowledge on these things.
okay, so
What
I
makes a
think it's kind
sanctuary
of
city?
I think it's built into their ordinance. Like they declare
Okay,
that as, the commission
okay.
will vote on it and, stuff like that. So,
So that's a local
but
government thing.
yeah, it's a local government thing,
Okay.
right?
So somewhere along the
I
line, their
don't,
mayor or
even
somebody
though like I
there.
think California, almost every city is declared as a sanctuary city. So maybe all of them are considered like as an aggregate a sanctuary state.
Right. Okay.
So,
Interesting.
we don't, I mean, like, I have never seen a state declare a sanctuary state.
Mhm.
Although, like, majority of like certain cities, like, there would, in California, for example, would
Mhm.
probably be one of those, as a whole, like, majority wise, a sanctuary state,
Well,
basically.
I'm glad the governor was nice enough and considerate enough to at least not send them to California, even though that was an option. Like, no, 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 we don't want no California. We want freedom, but not in California.
No, but the thing
How
is,
about
like,
Martha's Vineyard? What's that?
I mean, okay, so there's like so many talks on different sides, right? People think
Uh-huh.
that Ron DeSantis is using the people as pawns
Right.
to get attention, to get, whatever, to get, like, to get voices, votes, and, and agreements
Right.
from his base and, all that other stuff, right?
Right.
And I think that, is it calculated? I'm pretty sure it is, and
Yeah.
some level of extent, right? But the whole point is to get their attention that there
Right.
are problems, right? Like, look, New York had a couple hundred people show up,
Mhm.
or how many people showed up in New York? I don't remember, in New York City. And Eric Adams is, on wearing his Ray Bans, aviator Ray Bans, and like talking like, oh my God, this is unacceptable. Like, we have 8 million people in the city, but we can't handle a couple hundred.
Right.
Um, yeah, but and you think like a city like, I don't know, El Paso, which has less than 100,000 people, can handle
Right.
like the hundreds of thousands of people coming in? They can't do that either. That's part of the reason why everybody's like kind of, getting really growing
Right.
animosity against the
I
whole
mean,
immigration
yeah. I mean,
stuff.
but it stems from a bigger problem. I mean, this is a large population of migrants in a country
Yeah.
where, again, we have regulations on how to handle these types of things, but the number is just it's ridiculous. The number again, you can form a whole state with the amount of people that are illegally here,
No,
in terms
listen,
of
I mean, I think
population.
they said, so conservative numbers are in like the 2 millions,
Mhm.
and the other numbers of people who got away, and who are
Right,
not, yeah, deliberately, like, documented. So that looks like 5 million.
wow,
So there are states in our country that don't have 5 million people.
right, exactly. You can form a whole
So
state.
it's like adding a whole new state to, I don't know where they're
Mhm.
going.
Yeah, you
And
got that 51 states.
yeah, so well, I mean, if
North
they did the
Mexico
census,
is now
if
part of
they if
America.
they just if they did the census this year, I mean, like we probably have to redraw the lines again, you know?
Right. Right. So I mean, yeah. So the governor was looking to it. You know, he was trying to bring awareness to a larger
Attention
problem. But
to, yeah.
yeah, it's a
Listen,
larger
I mean,
problem.
like 48 immigrants isn't going to put a dent. It really is to send a signal, right? Look, we haven't had Joe Biden or we haven't had Kamala Harris down at the border ever.
Right.
And yet there are flights flying into Florida in the middle of the
Yes.
night with immigrants there, right? So we have had to take on all these people, and actually, so just from the from the situation, there was a
Uh-huh.
bill that was signed in June or July. I don't remember. Anyway, well, yeah, June. So in
Uh-huh.
June, the House and the Senate and the governor signed a bill into law, right, which is going to utilize $12 million of money that was gained from interest of the COVID relief
Right.
fund. So it
Uh-huh.
wasn't directly collected from the people, but it was money of the people that was invested and had
Right.
yielded $12 million worth of interest
Right.
that the governor now has, I mean, the House had appropriated
Uh-huh.
for partially, right? This is like, it's called like migration management or something. Anyway, it's SB 1808. That's the file
Uh-huh.
number. Okay, SB 1808. So basically, this bill was appropriating this fund, this $12 million fund,
Uh-huh.
to manage immigration or
Uh-huh.
unauthorized. Uh-oh,
Okay.
I'm
Not.
having I'm having streaming issues.
Uh-oh.
I hope it's gone. Can everybody hear us? Anyway, I'm sure
I
you
hear
are not.
you. I can hear you. Still, everything still looks normal.
Oh, look, we have Brenda here. Okay, great. Hi, Brenda.
Who's
So,
here? Oh, Brenda's here. Somebody watching?
so anyway, yeah, I mean, if you look in our chat, can you see our chat?
No,
I'll
I'm
show
still
you.
learning this thing called
So,
the private chat part.
there we go. Okay, so anyway, so that was the governor's,
Oh, there it is.
so that was the governor's, so basically, like, they authorized this $12 million to be used for management of immigrants, right?
Right.
And it was actually voted. I mean, there were three votes altogether, but there was one that was a not bipartisan consensus to pass this
Uh-huh.
bill, right? So it's like transporting of immigrants, like managing it with like first responders. I mean, everything. Like it was going to be used in various different ways,
Right.
and the governor used this to transport people. Now there's arguments about that, like how because they did not land on Florida soil, like and was or was left here, and
Right.
then we took them and went, right? But the whole point was there. I mean, judging from the size of our Venezuelan family or neighbors in this
Uh-huh.
state, like Doral is basically Doral Venezuela, right? So
The as well.
so we have like a huge Venezuelan population,
Mhm.
and most likely if they're coming from Venezuela and they think they're going to land in Florida, probably they have friends and family here,
Right.
or some way or one way or another, or but basically because Florida is a majority Spanish speaking, it's probably easier to find
Yeah.
resources and people to help and
It's a,
support
it's
them,
a, I
right?
think it's a combination of the two.
Yeah.
Easier to learn the
So,
language or getting to familiarize yourself with America, and you probably have family here in
right.
Doral.
So
or some parts of
I mean, like,
Weston and
so
stuff like yeah.
basically they were expressing the intention to come, but of course, like, this is all hearsay.
Right.
The whole point is like, like they're going to say, oh, these migrants weren't even in Florida, but the governor flew them to Martha's Vineyard, and then like, of course, we have another senator, a Democrat senator, who's trying to sue the governor for misuse of funds.
Mhm.
Like these were not unauthorized, migrants.
Right.
Okay, like I mean, I think we're trying to create a definition again. It's like let's
Yeah.
redefine what is a
I'm
woman.
trying to recreate the wheel on this one.
Yeah. So they're saying like,
Right.
oh, so we can't. when you ask one of the civil rights attorneys that are gonna like from Massachusetts that's gonna sue the
Yeah,
governor, he says like illegal immigrants. No, they're not like that's not what they're called. You know what I'm
they're homeless, not homeless, like they're without country people, people without a nation or something ridiculous. Like at the end of the day, they came here without documentation of leaving their country or entering this one. Or maybe with leaving their country, but definitely without entering this one. Like you did not do
No,
it.
and
You
see,
did not.
here's the thing, right? Look, I mean, my mom, who's been, who was living here, she was here legally. Of course, at the end of the day, when she had me, then she became a guardian, so on and so forth, right?
Right,
She didn't get her citizenship until I was 18. I was able to declare that for her because I was born here.
right.
There are people who live here with like these temporary type visas, and it's so difficult, right?
Hmm.
I mean, it's hard for someone who's coming here legally to get their documents in order and their paperwork in order.
Hmm.
There are Venezuelans who are real like asylum seekers. Like you got to get that
Yep,
a lot of these people who are coming here. I'm not saying that they're not asylum seekers and there's not danger at their home countries, but
because there is.
the
Right,
fact is, it's not all that, right? People come here because of economic reasons too,
right.
and
100%.
majority are here for economic reasons, not
Right.
so much like. Well, I mean, one can argue like, yeah, they come here for economic reasons because there's no economy and where they're coming from. Well, then don't be a socialist. So,
Yeah, agreed. And then again, there's other ways of doing this. And again, there's a process. It's a complicated process, yes, but there's other people that go through it. I know of one particular Venezuelan who did, and I mean, it was very unfortunate. I saw a woman that was a doctor in her country go and come to this country and end up working at the time under the table at a laundromat. I mean, that's a drastic drop.
massive downgrade. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, and
exactly.
it's not just that. I mean, like, um, oh, I just lost my train of thought. Okay, never mind. Go on.
But no, but the point I was trying to make with her was, there were certain things that qualified her for certain visas. So she came here and she found out what qualified, and she worked at the laundromat under the table and saved up her money to pay for an attorney to be able to say, listen, I want to start the process. And then thankfully that attorney started the process and she was able to get a job based on her skills and her qualifications from Venezuela. She was no longer a doctor, but she had a special gift of playing chess, or she was like an elite athlete playing chess from chess Olympiads and things like that. So she was able to land a teaching job, teaching
Wow.
chess with her skills and qualification and the need that a school had. So she, there's a process available for you to, become a citizen or gain asylum or gain a residency or whatever have you. So now she's got a green card. She's here legally. She's working legal. She's doing everything
Man,
right.
can you
Costs
imagine
her a
that?
lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it costs a lot of money, and a lot of people may not want to go through this process. My family did it when we came here from Jamaica. It cost a lot of money. It took a lot of time. Um, it's not comfortable. It's not the easy route, um, but it's the legal route. And we're here now. We can breathe easy. We're Americans. I'm an American citizen now since 2003, and so are my parents. Um, but there's a process, and it's for those people that work so hard to go through the process, to have some people say, hey, listen, I want to skip the line. I'm going to skip the line because, well, I came here through Mexico and asylum seeking. It's just not right. So that's the bigger
Well,
problem
I
here.
don't think it's them that is wanting to skip the line, but it's the administration that
The
is
administration
allowing that to skip
that's
the
allowing
line,
it, right? It's like, it's
right?
kind of like you're
Yeah.
advertising it without advertising it. And you're making it
Yeah. I
seem like it's a
mean,
very simple process.
exactly.
We'll take anybody. Just,
And they want to rush this through, like no kidding, right? Like they want to rush it through, and like I mean, like there are people who waited for 20 years in their home
mm-hmm.
country for for the for even a visa to get here, not
Oh,
even a
yeah.
green card or anything like that.
Right.
It's really strange, right? It's really really strange. I mean, and then I know people who had won the lottery in
Mm-hmm.
Thailand, right? Won the lottery and got their citizenship like right out, they came here an instant green card on fast track to, citizenship.
Right.
And they came here on the lottery. and they were living off the system, right? Like they were declaring welfare, they didn't get a job, I mean, like, why are we doing that again? I'm not clear, right? Like, do we
Right.
feel like we have too much money in our reserves, or, like,
And explain
I'm
that
not
to the
saying to
34
not be
million. Yeah.
compassionate, but
Right.
when you want
Exactly.
to donate and be compassionate, you surely got to feed your kids first, right?
100%. 100%.
I mean, you
And
don't
then
go
we
into debt feeding your kids, right? In the meantime, you're like giving away money to people who you don't know.
right.
And I'm
Exactly.
not I'm not saying that those people are wrong for what they do, but I'm saying that the system is set up so that people could take advantage of it.
Right.
And that's not how I want to spend my tax money. But
Correct.
anyway,
So I
we're
think
going into like another. We
no, and
promised
that's
to
why
keep
I was
it
going to
Florida,
I
right?
was going to
I'm
really
I'm
back
sorry.
in with saying overall,
Yeah.
what the governor was trying to do was point out or bring attention to a bigger issue by saying, listen, there are states here that if you come here and you can make it there, or those cities here, um, those cities will help you out. They'll provide you with resources and take good care of you. Here's one right here. It's called Martha's Vineyard. And he sends you there, and then you come again to bring awareness to these things. And Martha's Vineyard is like, no, we didn't. Who told you that? We don't do that here. There's not enough room in Martha's Vineyard. We
No, the
don't have
houses
enough
are so
space.
small, and like, it's
Yeah, we're
just an
cramped.
island.
We're cramped. We're not set up for this. We don't have the resources here. We don't have money here in Martha's
Oh,
Vineyard to help immigrants set up and get
that's
acclimated and
crazy.
eat, sleep, or anything. We don't have hotels here. None of those things. We can't help. We just cannot help.
Yeah, but
So
it
I
would
mean,
be really, for me, it would be interesting to see like how the governor is going to get through this, right? Because I mean, we have the Democrat senators here that are against it, and I get his point, right? It's our tax money. It's it's the people's money, right? It's the
right,
Floridians' money.
right.
Um, Even though I am so ecstatic when I saw that our governor sent somebody there, I'm like, yes, finally,
Yeah,
right?
listen,
Finally,
most of
somebody.
us are okay with that money being spent that way. Like, it's a bold statement,
Seriously,
but
like for me,
bold
it's like
statement. But if I can
I
put my
don't
money where
speak.
my mouth is, I'll sure, why
Yeah,
I'd vote for that.
me
Voted.
too.
So I mean, like the governor took a bold step, but he's like, I know like 70% of Floridians are okay with this.
Yeah, and when you think about it, if those people actually came over to Florida, we would have to pay so much more than that,
Correct,
right?
and that's what he said, and that's exactly what he said.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I think it's a bold move. It's a little edgy, but and legally, I don't know how they're going to get him, right? But I know that they're going
I
to
don't
try
think
and
they know how
find.
they're gonna get him, but
You're right.
they're gonna
That's
they're gonna
so
have fun
true.
trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, like he just keeps bringing light to this thing.
No,
I
I
think
mean,
that's why
like,
he did it.
what
There's
was
no
it? The sheriff in Texas, he was
in
saying
Texas.
something like, "Oh, he violated this and that," and like what? And then he couldn't answer it.
He couldn't answer
Like,
it. Yeah, there was no real. I mean, and those people are like, "Oh man, how dare you take advantage of us?" And meanwhile, taxpayers in America are like, "How dare you take advantage of us?" That's again, and it's so weird. It's like these people need help. You don't want to go on this back and forth thing, but it's like, yeah, there's at some point in time you got to realize that you are taking advantage of the system. Don't play victim
hmm
here. You can play victim with your country, and I get it. It's not safe where you are, but you got someplace first. You can seek asylum there and try and rebuild it and do things the right way. Apply for a visa to travel to America or use a family member to sponsor you for whatever reason. Like you can do these things. Get out of your country first. Yeah, I get it, and then do the thing. Just don't jump straight to America because
you
somehow
know,
somehow our administration, our federal administration, is letting you know, like, yeah, if you got here, we'll take you. We'll give you a cell phone and a blanket and a hotel
no,
stay.
I met a guy who his family owns a factory in Caracas,
Anywhere?
Caracas,
Caracas. Okay.
right? Anyway, so and they applied for asylum because that
Mhm.
was during the time when it was getting really hectic. It was on the news every day. Americans were pissed off, like, why are we going to war with Venezuela, who's backed up by China and Russia, whatever. And they were all like, screaming and shouting about it. So they, as a family, applied for asylum here,
Mhm.
and they said, well, you can't, right? And they said that if you want to apply for a visa, like an EB, right,
Right.
like a business visa, you'd have to put up $500,000. Now, in the heyday, $500,000 for a Venezuelan would be fine, but in the days of Maduro and all that, right, with the inflation going, like they'd have to carry that on like big rigs in order to get $500,000 of of the Venezuelan currency. So their money was just worth less and less and less within like days.
Right. Yeah.
And then they couldn't afford that $500,000 to get a visa. Now, I'm not sure if that guy knew exactly what he was talking about, but this is a story I heard, and it was like in 2016. So, that was a while back.
And again, it's a tough thing. I've heard many Venezuelan stories. I'm talking about very successful, affluent people that are now doing like Uber driving just to like low key stuff, so just to kind of get by, or to position themselves to just build a new life here in this country. The ones that are doing it the correct route. I've had the opportunities to talk to a lot of different people, so I get it. It's a very heartfelt situation, but again, there's also a process. Let's streamline the process and make it a little bit easier versus just saying, let's just jump the line, jump the process, skip the process. There is a process.
But I mean, like, I think that if we're looking at Florida and why it would affect us, like a lot of people might not think it would, right? This whole immigration thing, because we're in a peninsula, there are no borders to cross here. And I mean, I think our Coast Guards are pretty strong and we don't let that stuff happen every day, or not a lot anyway. But apparently this fund that was approved in June this year was directly to combat whatever is going to happen from that southern border that will, trickle over here. I don't know how big the trickle will be. But I mean, like, we have to also prepare ourselves for that, because along with it, I'm saying that there are people who are asylum seekers for economic reasons, for, political reasons, whatever, right? And at the same time, I think there are also wrongdoers who are trying to take advantage of that. I mean, why else do we have the highest deaths from fentanyl ever, or from a drug overdose ever in the history? All right, we have this last year alone in 2021, it was like historical high, like hundreds of thousands of people. So, I mean, with that said, that means that there is something bad about that, about having an open border. And how will it affect Florida is what I'm thinking. I don't know. You guys can like share your thoughts if you're listening or watching to the show. Like, comment. Let us know what you think. So, So what I found was that there are some Democrats that agree with this. Well, I mean, so there was one of the votes that was adopted 100%. So all 109 that were present. 109, what is it called?
All unanimous?
Yeah, the House state representatives all voted for this bill, right? And then and then you could see like a sort of a down the party line, but I think it was like the second reading. I mean, there's several readings, right? And so in the third reading, it was pretty down the line, like for the Senate vote. So I don't know. I mean, we see a lot of. So here's my deduction from looking at that, right? If everything is down party lines, that means that the Democrats will vote with Joe Biden's, programs, all these asylum, illegal, unauthorized immigrants, whatever, right? I mean, they're not calling them unauthorized immigrants. They're not calling them illegal immigrants. They're allowing these immigrants to come in.
Right.
And they're just calling them immigrants. And I got that our country is a country of immigrants.
Right.
But I mean,
we're immigrants. We
correct.
Get
it. we all got to get our passport stamped, and came in, used our own money, and then worked our way in, and not like take advantage of the system and.
Correct.
I mean, these migrants that Governor DeSantis brought over to Martha's Vineyard. They were in a hotel. They got a haircut, and all of this bills were picked up by the federal government, which is our tax money still.
Right.
I mean, like we have
Meanwhile,
veterans
I
that are
struggled
homeless.
all last month to get a haircut. You saw me. I was like, I just want, can't wait to
Isn't
get
that
outside
you
and
and
get a
your time though?
haircut. Yeah,
No, but
man.
what I'm
So,
saying is like, I mean, look, that we have veterans, like tens of thousands of veterans that are homeless,
mhm.
and they served our country honorably and was
Right.
discharged honorably, but we don't have a place for them to live.
Correct.
We have disabled veterans who cannot find homes with like doors that are big enough to let in, wheelchairs.
Wheelchair.
I mean, like,
Yes.
what is going on here, And then we treat these migrants who come to our country illegally
Mhm.
with free hotel rooms and a nice haircut with meals every day. Like,
And the cell phone. So,
hmm,
and all these other things. I mean, again, it's a welcoming carpet, or to say, hey, listen, if you leave your country and get here, we'll take care. We'll it's the starter packet. Welcome to America starter packet.
if you
So
survive past the coyotes, we will definitely take care of you.
yeah,
That
like you
shows
deserve
that you're one of
it's
the
like
fittest.
yeah, it's like winning it's like the Survivor challenge or something. It's like, yeah, you
I
survive.
know.
It's like you
You
should get
win.
a haircut and a cell phone and hotel expenses paid by the federal government. Free trip to Martha's Vineyard. So yeah. So,
Well,
again,
free trip to Martha's Vineyard is thanks to Governor Ron DeSantis.
yes. And again, I think he brought light to that, to again a bigger issue. I'm glad he did it. Um,
Me too.
I thought it took a lot of guts to do it that way, because I never like what a plane lands in Martha's Vineyard. Who did that? Then here comes Ron DeSantis.
I did that.
This guy did that. Those stickers with at the gas pump, like, hey, Joe Biden did that or Trump did that. He comes on TV like, I did that.
Oh, that's so funny.
Listen, he's amazing. He gets my vote again. That is for certain. He didn't
Well,
even
I
have
think what I think is I think that a lot of things that he does make sense, right? I mean, like take away the
absolutely.
party bit, right? Um, a lot of things that he's done. I mean, like not teaching. Well, I mean, we're going off target. So um,
Mhm.
let's stick to the migrant issue. so so basically, like what I noticed is like I said, in the Florida House, right? The
Mhm.
Senate and the state reps, they voted pretty much down the line. I need to go into detail a little bit on which of the Democrats actually, well, that bill 1808 was approved by both sides 100%.
Right.
Everybody who was there who voted all voted for that. There were no nays.
Mhm.
If there were nays, they were avoiding going to, being there on the day of voting. They didn't abstain, so they just didn't show up. So they were a
Right.
no show. But what I'm saying is like if we can see that the Democrats are actually following that line, and in a situation like this, they're not willing to put in this money that we got from from good management, right? I think we'd have to. I'm not sure if this was actually Jimmy Fratonis's work, but if this was his work of $12 million that we got from COVID funds, like the
Mhm.
interest from COVID funds, like heck yeah, you want to manage my money, you know?
I
Or
wonder, like,
please
how
keep
much money
managing
did
our
we
money.
make? How much money did we make
Right?
on this? I know it wasn't just 12 million. It made more. That was just some of the
Yeah,
money we
probably.
got.
So basically, like, we
Good
have this
return.
fund, and then it's to protect us against like any wrongdoings or any mishaps that happen in the immigration process. Like,
Mhm.
please spend it, right? And if this is going to bring the attention and to help stop that influx at the border, like,
Right.
go for it. Because I mean, like, if the federal government is not listening, people responsible are not attending to it, like, I don't have a problem with like spending that money. And I think that trip to Martha's Vineyard was like 600 grand or something, because I think it included like a gift card for food, right? And
They didn't put that part on the news. I didn't hear that part. So we
that
fed
was
them
like, I
too.
think it was $10 for McDonald's or something like that. Like
Oh, okay.
something not significant, right? But I don't know where they're going to find a McDonald's at Martha's Vineyard, but
Listen, he should have given them a gift card with hotel money and like a voucher to like the Olive Gardens or something. I think in Martha's Vineyard, just to see the look on their faces when like those people go in there and not being able to speak English. They were like, "What? How did you guys get here?" Again, the shock is incredible, and for them to backtrack and say, "No, we
Well,
don't
I mean,
have."
like, why should Governor DeSantis give him a whole like a gift card to Olive Garden when the residents there with tons of money were feeding them cereal? So,
Oh wow. I was being nice at Olive Gardens. You know, I mean, I figured they got fancier places, but he said there was no McDonald's, so I figured there at least got to be an Olive Gardens. And,
well, it's the thought that counts.
exactly, exactly.
It's the thought that counts. So, cereal,
Yeah, exactly. So, but no, he. I thought it was a bold move. Again, he brings attention to a very, very interesting subject that the federal government needs to address and take care of or stop allowing. It was a bold move. I respect the move. I love the move. Um, and again, Martha's Vineyard should have, if anything, I think what they should have done is been like, yeah, we're a sanctuary city. Put them up at the house and just like kind of combat it a little bit. I'd have been so impressed if they would have done that. Like, yeah, we will take care of them. Come spend the night at my house. We've got a pool house. You can stay there. Um, we do have an Olive Gardens. We'll take you out my treat. I'd have been impressed. Versus, like you said, like, nope, we don't do that here. Nope, send them back. Because now that costs more money. So, yeah.
And so I want to make our audience like aware of the fact that we're now calling them unauthorized immigrants
Well,
versus like illegal immigrants, and it's not clear what unauthorized immigrants mean, right? And if they're saying that the people who came in and were on the plane going to Martha's Vineyard are not considered unauthorized immigrants, I don't know what is. So, does it have to be approved by the USCIS, or is it, I mean, where are we getting this classification
I was
from,
about to say,
right?
like, what level of classification do you
Like,
get down to?
yeah, to
Like,
me,
in
it's
this
like,
country, you
you
have
came through the
citizens.
border uninvited, unannounced, like you came at the door and you said, yeah, this is my name, let me in the door. That's not, can we call them pre-authorized immigrants or?
I mean, yeah. I mean, listen, I know I can't get into Canada without a passport, even though I could literally walk across the border or to Mexico. So how is it that you can get in here without these documents and get a cell phone and a haircut and sometimes a voucher to
A
the Olive
hotel
Gardens,
room and
hotel
meals
expenses? Exactly. Like, God bless
and
America
healthcare. And
and
you don't have to
healthcare.
be vaccinated.
And listen, and healthcare. Look at healthcare. You know how expensive it is in this country for healthcare, and you can just get that by crossing the border. Meanwhile, everyday Americans still have to pay at the high cost of healthcare. Unbelievable.
No, they say you just have to go to Mexico and then just walk across and you'll
So
get
for
all
health,
those benefits.
yeah, I don't know if I want a Mexican healthcare or a doctor looking at me.
No, what I'm saying is you just fly to Mexico and walk back up. You'll
Oh
get all these.
yeah. That's right. No, okay, got it.
Go
Then I
to
gotta pay for the
Tijuana
plane
and then
ticket.
walk back up.
I gotta pay for the plane ticket.
Put some dirt on you.
Yeah, like just come back. Listen, I'm
I
pretty
mean,
sure I can get away with the whole coming across the border as an immigrant thing. They're gonna like check him. Check. He doesn't have a
you
passport.
look
He must be
you look
illegal.
too healthy to have been like trekking in the in the jungle for that long. So
I gotta sweat.
you have to look kind of beat up.
I gotta like stay
Well, I mean,
in
you
the
just
desert
swim in the
for.
Rio Grande for a little bit, and then we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah. Oh man, we have to. Okay. So wait, what's on the? It's
So the next thing is like I think this is an interesting topic. I think a lot of people probably have noticed that the governor removed a school board member in Broward County, right? Four
forced.
from because they violated the was it the Don't Say Gay bill,
No, well, that wasn't why they were removed. There were a lot of different things that
or
they
was
could
it
have been removed
CRT?
for. But in terms of investigations that were stemming from the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas incident from a few years back. How they handled it, how they managed funds that were given to the school for security um, increases to provide better security for the schools and things like that. So they mismanaged the funds, and there were some several discrepancies in far as the investigation. So this was a grand jury investigation that came back and reported that they suggested that 5 board members be removed. However, one of those board members had already left their post to run for another office. They ran for state senate and was successful in their campaign. So they were gone. So now you have 4 still sitting. One was up
Wait,
for reelection.
who is that senator that ran successfully?
Rosalind Osgood.
Okay.
Yes. So she ran and won Perry Thurston's seat because he left his post early to run for Alcee Hastings' Congress seat and lost that. So he obviously can't go back and get your old job. It's not how this thing works. So Rosalind Osgood's like, hey, listen, I'll go after it. Even though I still got obligations to the school board, education's not that important. Let me go run and get the state seat. So she gets it. So anyway, those 5 women were listed in the grand jury's suggestion to be removed, and the governor again removed 4. He replaced one of them. Well, when Rosalind Osgood left, her seat was vacant, so he put an appointment there. So technically, there's 5 gubernatorial appointments on the school board right now, 4 of which took place after.
How many do
the
they have
grand jury
total in Broward County?
How many school board seats? 9.
Wow.
So
Okay.
5 out of the 9 are governor appointees, and one of which was up for re-election. And this is where this gets really sticky now because she was up for re-election, and right before the primary election day, the report comes out that she was on that list because that list was like wrapped up, like guarded. I don't know what it is legally, but they weren't revealing who was on the list for quite a long time. Even though there were some suspicions that we knew who was on the list, again, you just didn't know. So right before election day in the primaries, the list comes out and she's on it. So now by that time, you've already had early votes going. People who voted for her for whatever reasons now come to find out like, probably wasn't a good idea. So she ends up winning in the run, or winning to go into a runoff with another gentleman. And the following week, the governor actually removed her from office. But she's still up for re-election. So the whole thing of what you're trying to bring up now, Lynn, is like, what happens if she wins again? Will the governor remove her from the seat?
Yeah.
And does that impact how you should vote? I mean, if you're conservative, you're thinking, okay, I want the governor to replace her. I'll vote for her just because he gets an opportunity to remove.
Well, I mean, like, I think so. So we're not looking. Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I think you and we both probably trust this governor a lot. Now, let's say, like, if we change governors and the term is ended and somebody else is there, I mean, that can seriously be an abuse of power, right?
Right.
So that's something that I think we really shouldn't allow without due process in some way. Right. And if people had voted them in, I think that, I don't know. I mean, this is a tough one to gauge for me, because I think, like, if you give too much power to somebody and they abuse it, right? I mean, mind you, like, I think our governor is very skilled in navigating his way in the law, or knowing what's okay and what's not okay, right? So, I mean, on the most part, there probably are going to be, I mean, I think his team and him and his administration is great, and they will probably choose the right thing. And they probably have done this investigation. I mean, like what they did up in remember that state attorney, or was it the prosecutor, or
in Tampa?
There was a guy up north, that was suspended.
Right.
I forgot already. I mean, so many things going on.
It was a district attorney, state, something like that, but he was,
he suspended them, and I mean, I think before he does something like that, it has to be well decided that this guy has broken the law or has shown harm that is going to be done to the people, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, what's standing in between justice and us is the government. Like,
100%. But it's kind of like now, now I'm looking at it like a chess move. But because
mhm,
again, and the reason I say is because you're in a heavily Democratic county,
right.
Broward County, right? And you know that it's going to be tooth and nails for any conservative candidate to win a seat on the school board.
Mhm,
However, it's like you see yourself as a voter, you see the only opportunity being if the governor um, makes an appointment, like replaces, removes somebody from office, rightfully so, because again, it's suggesting that you remove this person from office. But again, they get the re-election. So now, as a conservative, you're thinking the only way the governor gets to do the right thing is if I vote for this person. So it's like, how do you distinguish the votes that are actually, her righteous votes that she's earned versus the votes that are like, hey, we just want her to win so the governor does what he needs to do. And like that's the tough thing in here because again, I would vote for her just because I know the governor has that option. However, I'm pretty sure this lady's got a pretty good support base where they vote for her because they want her to win the seat.
well, the
So
question is this: like, I think when there is a removal from office, there should be some kind of lawsuit, right?
yes,
Are they going to fight it, right?
they are
So
fighting. They were. They will.
right.
They
So
were.
I mean, like that's how my logic typically goes, and what I'm thinking of is if you have a pending lawsuit of some kind that has to do with your character or any financial wrongdoings, whether it's related to the office or not, I think like you should be suspended until you clear yourself in court before you could come and get into election again.
Okay.
The
Okay.
problem is we have so many crooks in our system right now, right?
Right.
And I mean, like, I there's a guy down here who was running for Senate and then like had to like pull himself out of the race, right? Knowing that there's something that is brewing up against him, and
Mhm.
he'd rather pull himself out than actually lose the seat and spend all that money running, which makes sense.
Right.
But
Right.
like, how many
100%.
people are going to really come to their senses? We know so many local officials, right? Like
Mhm.
municipality officials that are known to be crooked and corrupt, and yet run every time, win every time because of
Mhm.
their name recognition or because they have a really strong base or I don't know, whatever, right? Like
Right.
I don't know. I mean, if what he does can offset the the what he's taken, then I don't know. I mean, can we see that? You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
Like,
I think
can I
that's the
see
thing.
that? I want to see.
I mean, I want to see it, and that's the thing about it. Like most people that I'm not saying most people I've talked to, but some of the people I've talked to, they were already thinking along those lines. I'm like, okay, good. I wasn't the only person. So what if the majority of voters, conservative voters in Broward County, is thinking, hey, listen, the two choices are bad, but this governor gets to make the right one if I vote for this wrong choice. So I'll take the gamble and vote for this person and hope they win, and hopefully he does the right thing. But at the same time, you don't want to have the issue with people who are like, listen, I voted for this person to win and you took away my vote. You don't want that with voters. It doesn't sit very,
No,
right.
I mean, like,
It brings
look.
a
I
lot of
mean,
questions.
we all want our voice to matter,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
Like to count.
Correct.
So if like we go in. So the point is like I think it's in the qualification stage too, right?
Right. And
Like
I mean,
I said, I think if you have a pending litigation or you have, issues with ethics or something like that. I mean, why isn't
she's
the
got
ethics
that too.
department of Florida stepping in to stop these people from running? Like,
Good question, because she's got that too. She's got two ethics violent or things in questions,
hmm
plus this removal from office, and then she's running again, and she could win. Um, and she's gonna probably sue for. They were until the school board decided that they weren't going to pay for their lawyers anymore. So I don't know if they're continuing with the lawsuits. But they were planning to fight this. And you're right; they shouldn't run for office, and they shouldn't be allowed to get the seat unless they clear these things up. So I do agree with you with
yeah,
that, and I think maybe that's how the governor makes his decision. It's like, okay, she wins, but she's still battling this whole situation with the grand jury and also with fighting it in court. Yes, just remove her from office. Um, and again, for me, it's like this is the only way you get a conservative on the board in Broward County. Because I mean, like it's
is to get
right now
appointed.
Listen, there are five currently. There are five Republicans, and again, it's a nonpartisan seat. And I'm a nonpartisan candidate, so I would have been a nonpartisan. But anyway, but currently there are five registered Republicans on that dais. All five of them are governor's appointees. Once this election cycle is over, four of them are going to be gone because one of them gets to sit the full 2 more years because one of the seats that were removed had 2 more years remaining on it. So you'll have at least one conservative on the board if he doesn't do what people expect him to do, and two if he does do what you expect him to do. But that's how you get two conservatives on the Broward County School Board, and that's the only way. So I mean, it's a tough thing. Again, you don't want to bring into question like, does my vote really matter? Like, why did I vote for him just to be able to do that? But at the same time, it could be a tactic or a strategy that is used to be able to position. And a lot of people do know that. Again, I would vote for her simply for the fact that I want the government to rule from office. And I know a lot of people, sharing that same sentiment. But at the same time,
Wait,
I know there's a lot of people.
I just want to be clear because it doesn't make any sense to me. You want to vote for this person because you know that the governor has the power to
remove her. So I'm hoping he does. I'm voting for her and hoping that he does. That's me. And that's also
and why wouldn't you vote just for her opponent then?
Because he's just as bad. And he can't be removed once elected.
Why?
Because then he doesn't have an investigation going on. There's no real reason to remove him from office. So if he wins on merit, he wins. But he's just as bad.
I mean, like, people should start protesting these candidates, right? When they qualify candidates.
Well, I mean, that's what the election does.
We should just nipping it in the bud, right? I mean, like, I got that, but there should be certain. Okay, so I think that government officials, when you choose someone to represent you, you would want to choose. You want to put your best foot forward, right?
Right.
You want to choose someone who's clean. You want to choose someone that you believe you could trust. And if these nominees are garbage and they're not, they're, I don't know what they are, right? There's tons of things that they're doing.
This guy presents well. And I mean, in terms of being clean, he doesn't have anything, at least on record, that says that he's under investigation for any of these things. But studying mannerisms and motives and things of that nature, it's like, okay, he's going to end up being her on the school board days. He's going to make all the wrong decisions. He's going to, be her in man's clothing. In a couple of years, we'll be seeing the grand jury suggesting to remove him. It's like you see the same cycle happening. So me personally, I don't want to vote for somebody who I am in complete disagreement with, but I'm also in disagreement with the other person. Those are my two options, two bad choices. But it's like, okay, there's a silver lining here. If I vote for that bad choice, the governor could remove it. And that's the way I'm looking at it as a voter. But it's like, realistically, the governor doesn't have to remove her, and I could vote for her, and she just sits there for 4 years.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to undermine the person's vote who's like, I want her to sit there for the 4 years. Because even though she is a bad choice, it's their bad choice to make. So...
but like I said, I think to frivolously have the governor be able to remove people from office, you know what I mean? I think if they were removed once, and you know what's funny is I haven't heard the name of the people that he removed. So you can imagine, like, and I do pay attention to, Broward. I mean, like the Tri-County area, like Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade. So if I haven't heard about that, it's like, it must be like another light year away. And what are most voters who don't even care about who they see on the ballot, right?
Right.
I mean, that's scary. So I'm thinking
that's where we are.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't want the governor to have that power.
Right, and that's her point. That's her point when she runs again now, is like she would hope that the governor does the right thing and just, let the people's vote stand. And it's like, okay, good, you're right. That, I guess, would be the right thing to let their vote stand. But it's like, you'd still be.
Well, somebody should be, yeah.
Yeah, like you'd still be under investigation if he lets it stand. And it'd be in his poor judgment to let it stand, knowing that you're still under investigation for these things. So it's like, okay, what and again, at that point in time, it's really the public's fault for not doing the research on who they're putting in office. Because again, she got removed, but she won, or she tied for the runoff. She went to the runoff. So she technically won the most amount of votes, but it wasn't over 51% or 50%. So she probably, had this been the election total, she would have won the election. And people voted for her because again they didn't think that she was one of the people on that list. And then come to find out after you voted, she was on that list. So this time around, she may actually not win, but then now you're stuck with a guy that was just as bad. And it's like I really just want the government. I just want a conservative on the board. So for me, as an educated voter, I would, again, me personally, I would vote for her, just hoping that the governor removes her. But at the same time, me as a voter, I wouldn't want my vote to not count. So that's my conflict.
Yeah.
And that's the controversy. It's like, what
Hmm.
should the governor do?
I don't know. I think we do a lot of things and we put ourselves in a mess and then we try to get
Mhm.
ourselves out of the mess, which is even harder, right? Then you
Right.
gotta prove all kinds of things. Like versus like, okay, I get that like you're innocent until proven guilty in the due process
Mhm.
situation. So, whoever the school board person is that got rejected or was removed by the governor, like that is yet to be proven, right?
Right.
Apparently he had already put the verdict in. So that means that the governor to remove someone, I think he has enough evidence
Mhm.
and it should actually just, it should be swift and clean and get it out. And then like either that or disqualify this person. I mean, what can we write in a candidate?
You know what? I asked that question, and they said the writing candidate. This is something that's wrong with the state of Florida. Whoever gets in office needs to address this part. Maybe they didn't. That's why it is this way. In the state of Florida, you have to register to be a writing candidate. You have to register from the time of qualifying.
Oh, so
So,
that was like way back in June.
right.
That's
So I
what
learned
I'm
that.
thinking of is I know, right? I think like it's really weird that if enough people write in the candidate, they should be okay. And the
Yeah.
other thing is, I think like if they're voting on, let's say they're voting on a school board candidate, which is a nonpartisan, and if you don't get a certain percentage of the votes,
Mhm.
like nobody should be elected because like watch, people are gonna like vote governor, senator, whatever, right? All the way
Right.
down the line. And then they'll see school board and they'll be like, ah, screw these people, and they don't vote.
Right.
And yeah, and then like they win by like 5 points, five votes.
Yep.
You know, like
It's sad. It's tragic, and it's what's probably going to happen. Like again,
no. So that's what I was saying was like I don't know. There's some things that need to be changed, right? I think
there's a
like
lot that needs to be done. Yeah.
for example, like what we have right now is, I mean, I like the fact that we separate the judges and the school boards and whatever, right? And
Mhm.
the commissions and the municipalities for the election. But the
Right.
thing is, like, the difference between August 23rd and November 8th, like this year, is like, it's like what, two and three quarters of a month,
Mhm.
2.5 months, basically. So 2.5 months that people have to, after they fought a heavy primary, now they have to fight the general,
Right.
right? And they have 2.5 months to raise money, knock on doors of people outside of their party,
Mhm.
like raise a ton of money to go fight that fight, right? It's crazy. I mean, we've seen other states where they did their primaries like back in May or I mean
Mhm.
March, April, May. I don't know. There's like always a primary going on. You can see races on TV, right?
Right.
And like I don't know why we're doing ours in August and November. It just doesn't make any sense. Like we're not
It
giving ourselves a good chance.
no.
Either that or that's probably why some of the seats that were always historically Republican stay Republican, and the seats that historically stay Democrat.
Mhm.
Because when you have an incumbent, like, people will tend to vote in the same, you know what I mean? They don't have a chance to go in and win the votes from the other side
The other
or
party.
from
Yep.
the, yeah, from
Yeah, from the
the
other
from
party.
the NPA. So they
Yeah,
just
no,
have
it's
to rely strictly on their base, and therefore it just keeps going down party lines.
yeah, because especially like that the one that we talked about where there was like six or seven candidates in the Republican Party that had to go, fight each other for the nomination. and
Mhm.
then all of a sudden you raise money, you do all the legwork, and it's a tough battle, and then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, boom, you gotta start all over and then knock on other people's door. But I mean, you can't, it's not for the weak. That's mosquito. I know you're against like mosquito squishing, but I'm not. I'm from Jamaica,
No,
man.
you're fine.
Our mosquitoes are serious. They're offensive. So
Oh, oh
I hope
yeah.
he flies away, but if he comes any closer,
Oh.
so yeah, no,
Okay, so oh gosh, it's 8:01. Anyway, okay, yeah, what do you think actually, just to round this conversation up,
about this.
about the governor being able to call it off?
Um, and again, I've got a conflict because like I want him to do this, but I think this as a chess player, as somebody who strategizes, if and to get my objective, if I were him, if I were a Broward County politician or Republican, this is how I do it. Because in Broward County, you're not getting a conservative on the board otherwise, at least not anytime soon. However, you know,
You never know though.
I
See, the
mean, you
thing is,
never.
like, I think there's not the marketing is a little lacking there, and I
It
don't want
is,
to go into the
and I
time
am, and
because
I am,
we are,
yeah,
yeah, we're a little over
and I
time.
am hopeful for another candidate, and I'm hoping she can do it. She can be the first conservative to like win out of the seat in a very long time. But I hope the governor does it to just for that reason alone. But at the same time, again, respect people's votes. But I think in this case scenario, like you said, if she's under investigation still, if she's still got to be fighting this while being in office, then just make a
Hmm.
clear decision, make it swift, get her out. I think the governor should do it.
Okay.
So I think it's the right thing to do. Again,
Yeah,
it
I mean, like,
suggests
I
governor
mean, if
who.
he's remember, you can't be convicted for the same crime twice. So, however he removed her the first time, I don't think he's able to going to use the same excuse to get her out again,
Mhm.
right?
Right,
So she
right.
has to commit something new, or
She's already
something
done
else
it.
is going to become to light.
Yeah,
So
there's
that
something else there. Yeah, there's a lot of
misappropriating
things there.
funds will not be grounds for them to be removed anymore.
She's got ethics violations too. So there's tons of stuff. Listen, the list goes on and on. This person should not
Yeah,
run for office, and neither should the person that's running against her. Unfortunately,
seriously.
that's the options that they give.
And we also have another thing which is called recall, right? Like a
Mhm,
recall.
mhm.
We can recall people as well. Except like
Okay.
the thing is, the Florida legislation makes it so difficult to even recall like a municipal candidate. So I think there's 30 some counties in Florida
Mhm,
that do recalls. Miami-Dade is one of them. I'm not
mhm.
sure if Broward is though. But
Yeah, I'm not sure.
basically, like you could recall your elected officials with enough petitions and a process and a crazy ass process, right? So
Mhm.
um, yeah, calling all the legislators, please make it easier to recall. I mean, like, let's get sheer numbers and get good reasoning.
Right.
Like, and I mean, like, we're not going to just recall people because to find another official is not as easy. But
Right.
I mean, if they are doing something that is like seriously wrong for the people, and the people all agree to sign a petition, then they should be able to recall that person. Um, Last thing that I wanted to bring up, I mean, is, and I'm sorry for not keeping time well, but
No,
I
it's
mean,
fine.
I'm,
The
yeah.
guests love it. It's like a concert encore. We want more.
Okay, so this is bonus round. I
Right.
just wanted to give a shout out to all of our Hispanic friends and family, neighbors, and brothers and sisters here, in all over the country. Our Hispanic Heritage Month is
That's
this
right.
month, right? Starting, what was it?
Right.
September
On the
15th?
15th. Yep, September 15th.
Yeah, and it's still ongoing. And of course, like the country would not be the same without you. I think the country would not be the same without any of us.
I don't think my
So,
family would be the same because my wife's Spanish and so are my kids.
oh yeah, you'd be missing a kid there. No, but what I love about Hispanic heritage is that we like, I don't know about you guys, but like as as an Asian family, I mean, growing up in an Asian family,
Mhm,
um, we share so many different values that are very similar. We're very family oriented, like
mhm.
big family, but you know what I mean, like live with the
Right.
parents, like grandparents, like everybody's like that. And I know the way we live our lives are very, very similar. And in some cases, like if you're in the right, latitude on the globe, if we share the same weather pattern, we eat similar foods too. So
Yeah, well, yeah.
yeah.
Well, again, my wife being from a Spanish country, but from a Chinese background, so I get the best of both worlds. I told her that was
Oh, I've always wanted to. So your wife is like an Asian
Asian
Latino?
Latina. Yeah. Um,
Wow.
it was funny because
That's
when I
awesome.
it
Okay.
really is. So like,
I didn't know that. I thought she was just Hispanic because you were talking
no,
about how she has a
she's
gringo
Chinese.
accent.
No, she's Chinese Ecuadorian. So
Oh, no
yeah,
way. That's awesome. Okay, that's cool. I hear
it
a
is.
lot of that. I can't believe how many there are. I'm
Yeah, it
amazed.
is. Yeah, so it's amazing because she looks Chinese, but then she's and this is how we when we met many moons ago. It confused me because this Chinese looking person speaking
Speaks fluent
Spanish,
Spanish.
and I was confused. It's like,
I had the same thing
okay.
when I came to Miami. I was at a car wash. No, there was a Chinese restaurant near a car wash, and
Mhm,
I swear to God, I look at her and I'm trying to speak Mandarin to her because I know a little bit of Mandarin.
mhm.
So I try to speak Mandarin to her. Unfortunately, she doesn't speak Mandarin. She speaks Cantonese, and she doesn't speak any English. But then, like a bunch of Cuban guys came into the door, and they were all speaking to each other. Like I'm like, what happened?
I'm
Like I'm
so
in the
confused right now.
twilight zone. I know. Wait, am I in Miami? Okay, I didn't realize that. But that's when I first arrived here. Miami
Interesting.
is the only major city, that
Mhm.
you can go into an Uber and they don't speak English. Is the only city that you
Yeah,
can get on an Uber and they don't speak English. Like I
yeah.
went on an Uber in everywhere, right? Like Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia has their own brand, but
Mhm.
different countries. Every country you could find an English speaking Uber driver.
But not Miami.
Not Miami.
I've had that experience before. Hilarious. And the guy was
That's
here for
funny.
10 years. I'm like, how long have you been here? He's like 10 years. Because I speak Spanish because obviously plus I'm part Cuban and part Chinese. Go figure. But I'm from Jamaica. So anyway, but so it's like I get in the car and I knew enough Spanish to be able to communicate with the guy. So I asked him how long has he been in America. He said 10 years. 10 years in America. Didn't need to learn any Spanish. I'm sorry, any English because he lives in Miami. That's what he told me. He's like, I live in Miami.
That's hilarious.
I
That's
thought so
so
too.
funny.
So
I mean, I love
that's
it.
again,
It's just, yeah, it's really unique. You kind of like get to. It's like it's perfect the way it is. Let's just put it that way.
yep. And
Yeah,
that's again a
it's
shout out
perfect the way
to
it is.
all our Hispanic peoples on Hispanic Heritage Month. Miami, you make America proud by being the only part of America that could have Spanish speaking
Yeah,
Uber drivers or anywhere in the world that has Spanish speaking Uber drivers or non English speaking Uber drivers
I
that lead
know.
successful lives. So
No, it's awesome. I think it's great. And then so on a less light note, the Ian has already touched down, I believe, in
yes.
Fort Myers, and I just want to send a shout out to all of our. I mean, I'm wishing everyone in that zone, in that pathway of the cone, like
Mhm.
safety, and please look after yourself. And yeah, my heart goes out to you, and we're praying for
Uh,
you for your
Listen,
safety.
I say
Mhm.
thank you because I'm one of those people in the pathway in the zone. It's on its way.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right now. It's like someplace in like Lake County or Marion County
Hmm.
and down in Fort Myers and some parts of Tampa, but it's going to travel up the I-4 corridor and eventually hit Volusia. So
Oh yeah, that's right. Now I think it's gonna go all the way up, and it's gonna hit Jacksonville, right?
yeah,
But I
no,
mean,
it's
by
going to
that time it would have slowed down quite a bit, and you would just get like a lot of heavy rain.
yeah,
But
I think it's
I've
going to
seen
hit us as
pictures,
a one.
and yeah, I've seen pictures. So my husband actually like manages a couple of restaurants in Fort Myers. So
Okay.
yeah, he went and like did all the boarding, making sure that all the the stores protected.
Hmm.
And we came back. So he came back last night because the hotels were kicking him out. He couldn't stay there anymore.
Yep.
So anyway, he's back here now, and then Saturday he's gonna head over. And I mean, he manages a couple of Panda Express restaurants. So I'm not doing
Oh,
free
really?
advertising or anything, but the whole thing is he's gonna be
My
cooking
daughter.
some food and also delivering it to the shelters and
Uh-huh.
also the first responders. So I wish
Okay.
I could go. I have a previous engagement. I would love to like be a part of that and help and support the community in those
Mhm.
counties that are affected. So,
Yeah, it's
well,
gonna
my
be a
heart
lot.
goes out to you.
No,
Yeah.
we'll be fine. Like we've set up pretty good. I think we're gonna be. I know we'll be fine. Um, and again, it's gonna hit us as a one, so it's gonna just be a lot of rain. So as long as we're staying inside with the family, we're not going anywhere. We've already made sure we have stocked up on supplies and stuff, so we're good. We
Yeah.
survive everything. So it's for my son. He's a huge weather addict. He loves tornadoes and hurricanes and heavy downpours, and he watches the Weather Channel faithfully. So for him, this is very exciting. So my oldest son, at least. So he's gonna have a blast during this hurricane. As he watches trees and like the windows open, so he's gonna watch the trees blow and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And on another note, you say he manages Panda Express, and you got coupons. You made me the coolest dad in the world because my daughter loves Panda Express.
Oh my gosh, don't worry. We have tons of kid meal coupons for you. So when I
She
see
can,
you next time, I'll definitely get you some.
yeah,
Yeah.
because she lives off the orange chicken. But
Yeah,
anyway,
so our first responders and our all the people who are in the shelters will probably be getting chow mein and orange chicken, which are our two top bestsellers.
yes,
Yeah. So definitely your kids' meal, the coupon's on the way. Yeah, I
awesome.
could easily get that to you, no problem. Yeah, I mean, they don't do sponsorships. I wish they did, so they could sponsor our show, but I'm just doing that because I believe that, like, what I love about the company is they always support the community. Like like for Chinese New Year, my husband and I would go to elementary school to teach kids about, about the Lunar New Year, which is
Okay.
celebrated in like Vietnam and Korea and Japan and,
Mhm.
so on and so forth. So, we do that every year, or we try to, except ever since the pandemic started, we stopped. So, but, yeah, because like we go to the schools and the kids love it, right? When my husband, he would go dressed as a in a panda outfit, and the kids just come running over, and then sometimes he takes off the panda head, right? And then whenever they see him, like he went to school to do something, like they ordered catering or something like that. He was just
Yeah.
delivering, and the kids come over. He goes, "Panda!" It's so cute,
Then he takes
and
off the head. He's like, ah.
no, he wasn't in a panda outfit, but they recognize him.
Oh,
And then
okay.
yeah, yeah, and then oh, we also do events with the children's hospital. My goodness, what is that hospital called? Um, not St. Jude, Nicholas Children's.
Okay.
Yeah, we do
Okay.
events with Nicholas Children's as well for the kids. We make meals for them and
Good deal.
I love it. I love being a part of his like his community outreach stuff. So much fun. hmm
Awesome. Good to
Yeah.
know. Learn something new about you, man.
So I gotta remember that about you. So next time I can get you the right. When are you coming down here again?
Probably depending on the weather, probably this Sunday, but it's going to be a very short trip. I'm going to be in and out for that day, and then after that, 2 weeks later. So, we'll set something up because the
Okay,
next
cool.
couple, yeah, since I restructured my living and my job now, I don't need to be there as long. So, like when I'm there, I'm just going to be there for like day trips and stuff like that. So,
So next week I think I have a surprise, but like we're actually over time, like, and I want to end it in like a minute, but sorry.
these
I just
viewers are
wanted to
getting
let
a
you.
bonus.
I'll just I know. So I will tell you next. I think we might have a guest next week, and
Awesome.
I have a topic. So I'll talk to you offline, and then I look forward to seeing everybody. Well, you want to sign off, Mo?
All right. As always, folks, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for coming in and watching us and our fresh perspective on politics and politicians and how it affects you. So until we meet again, folks, you have a great week. Be safe if you're on the I-4 corridor and hold on
Yes.
tight.
Please stay safe. Stay safe.
Hold
Stay
on
dry,
tight.
and take care.
All right. Bye, Mike. Bye,
Okay.
folks.
Bye, everyone. Have a good evening.